Mute mine also.
Listen, I know what I'm doing.
Well, hey, we have a quorum. I'm going to call the meeting to order. You know how I am about time. So welcome everyone to the, what day is this? This is the May board meeting. And we'll start with roll call. Can you do that, Mr. Moore?
If he can leave the screen up. Let's see here. Chris, if you can leave the list up there for me, because I'm bad with names tonight. Mr. Atkinson, Mr. Beaver.
Yeah.
Mr. Dudley, Mr. Fulbright, Miss Hopkins, Mr. Howell.
Here.
Miss Kinzer.
Here.
Mr. Moore is present. Miss Morency.
Here.
Miss Parker. And Mr. Sims.
Here.
Looks like we do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. It's concerning, though, when we get to needing that 2/3 vote on the waiving the policy. Maybe some more will be on by then as well. Won't you all join me now in the Pledge of Allegiance and then a moment of silence? I pledge
allegiance to the flag
Of the
of
United
the
United States of America
States
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. On a note about roll call, I don't know, I think I tried to let you all know in the email that Mr. Dudley's going home tomorrow. So that's really good news. And
It's good news.
done really well. So, okay, next is to adopt the agenda. Are there any additions or is there a motion to adopt as is?
I make a motion to adopt as is.
All right, Ms. Morency made the motion to adopt the agenda as is. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second from Mr. Moore? Let's listen to the voice, I hope. Okay, is any discussion? All right, then we're ready to vote.
You may vote now.
Oh, wait.
Or you can just tell me how you want to vote and I'll vote for you. Two, three, four, five, six. That motion passes, ma'am. 6-0.
That motion does pass. Next is recognition and announcement, and I know this has just happened today, and we got some email, but I asked Dr. Marzak, and we probably will have more about this and honor them at a later date, but I wanted him to share with you and the public what we found out today about 4 schools in our county.
Yes,
Dr. Marzak.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. So today, you guys got the email this morning. 4 of our schools have been recognized by the Tennessee STEM Innovation Network as model schools in the entire state of Tennessee. You'll notice by the press release I sent you that only 22 schools were selected, and each one of those schools will be getting a $10,000 grant. Requires no matching funds, and they are allowed to spend that money at their individual schools on furthering their own STEM initiative. This was a process that, as you guys know, started all the way back in 2016 with Discovery Education, when you guys chose that we wanted to go down the STEAM project-based pathway. So thank you very much for implementing that vision. And this is just the beginning, because what Mount Pleasant and Randolph-Howell want to do is they now want to spread the wealth, and they want to help other schools in Murray County achieve that same designation. That also comes with those grant funds as well. So congratulations to Mount Pleasant Elementary, Mount Pleasant Middle, Mount Pleasant High School, and Randolph-Howell, who successfully completed their fall site visit and were notified today that they are model schools in the entire state of Tennessee.
Well, that's wonderful. It's really something to be proud of, and we'll look forward to having that at a future board meeting so that we can really recognize them as they should. Next on the agenda is the Murray County Education Association. I see Ms. Inc there. So The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Kinzer and board, for allowing us to speak again. I had to get a little setup here so that I could actually do this, because I have a computer that I can videotape or be on video and a computer I can talk on, but neither one of them will do both. So first of all, this is Teacher Appreciation Week, and I would like to extend that, how just honored I am to work with the teachers that I work with, and how grateful I am to be able to represent them at the board and at collaborative conferencing and all the situations that I have to do that. We do have a phenomenal group of educators, support staff, and caregivers in our district, and I don't think anything has proven that prior in such an extent as the COVID-19 situation. It has been a challenge, to say the least, and our teachers and support staff have stepped up. I would like to thank several people at central office, because they have either reached out to our teachers through MCA or been in conversation with us about issues regarding care and concern of educators and support staff during this time. Mr. Lindsay met via Zoom with Miss Sue Ogg and I on Friday to discuss teacher issues and support staff issues regarding going back to the buildings. I think we had some very fruitful conversations about that. I think there is some concern going back, given that essentially everybody becomes the public when you haven't seen somebody for 2 months. It's one thing if you go back daily and see somebody, but when I haven't seen them for 2 months, now they're the public. So just making certain that things are taken care of as far as scheduling goes. Nothing breeds contempt like inequity. And so I've had that conversation with Dr. Woodard, and Sue and I also had it with Mr. Lindsay as far as scheduling goes, making sure that people who are immunocompromised, that there is some latitude in their scheduling, that they are able to go in hopefully prior to everybody else coming in, and getting their work done, and making sure, and this may be a conversation with Mr. Perriman, I'm sure he's already thought about it, but just those common areas that people are going to be exposed to during that time, that there's either materials to be cleaned or there's increased cleaning in the restrooms and common areas, and that there's some processes in place in regards to things like turning in paperwork at the end of the year, those sorts of things. Those were just some things that we talked to Mr. Lindsay about. As far as Dr. Woodard was very receptive to some concerns as far as equity on time, and it's I think I got clarity on that today as far as everybody should be working 3.5 hours, 5 days next week. With latitude, knowing that there are people who do have situations that are outside the norm. There's, bringing a kid in and a child in because you can't find daycare is going to be one of those situations there's going to have to be latitude in, because we have people that don't necessarily have daycare available to them at this time, or they're concerned about exposing their family members who would typically take care of them, their children, exposing them to possible COVID-19 issues. So I think overall teachers have we've all kind of, been on edge about a lot of things, and then last night happened because it's 2020 apparently. And, now we have concerns about another food insecurity issues for children. When parents have gone out and spent hundreds of dollars on food with COVID-19, and now we've got kids that are now, we don't know that their access to the food in the summer. This just kind of came up today because of last night, that you spend $300 on meat for for extended periods of time, don't have an income. So those are things that are I'm sure that will be worked out through our state and local areas. But I don't think anybody can question the integrity or the availability of teachers at this time. I just appreciate every teacher, every support staff member, every employee of Maury County Public Schools at this time during Teacher Appreciation Week, when it's so hard to be there to, you know, feel the appreciation. We have to feel it somewhere. So I think also one more thing, we don't want to let during the budget season, it's complex, but those making sure that we're taking care of our people the best we can. But everybody, I appreciate it, the opportunity to talk, and I hope everybody's staying safe and well, and they have power. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And Jennifer, let me just say, I don't think anybody can be more proud of all the work that the teacher support staff have done during this whole crisis. And to say Teacher Appreciation Week is long coming and deserved, that's for sure. And we truly appreciate you as MCEA. You have become partners with us. We've collaborated. We've been able to discuss and come up with solutions that are best for the staff and students. And number one are the students. And I think that's the one thing we see is the love and support and real professionalism of our staff. So thank you for that.
Mr. Moore
Okay.
has his hand raised.
What?
Mr. Moore has his hand up.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Moore.
Thank you. I just want to say, Jennifer, if you could pass on to the other teachers too. I think this is a perfect time to appreciate, you know, you guys for, I have heard nothing but praise from parents, community members, and honestly, even community members that are not in our school system. That's been the best thing. I have had plenty of people from other counties saying, look at what Maury County's done. Look at what these teachers have done for these kids. And it makes me happy to hear. I've tried to tell every teacher I talk to that I appreciate that. I appreciate hearing those things, hearing people talk about how good you guys have done, how good our staff has done at reaching out to these kids during an unprecedented time. And I think this ties in perfectly. So if you could pass that on, I know I appreciate it. I love hearing it from the community, from even outside of our county. I think it's a wonderful blessing to have everyone here helping with this.
I'll be sure to pass that on.
All right. Anyone else? All right, then we'll move on. Are there any public delegations?
If you'd like to speak on the public delegation, raise your hand, please, in the program. No, ma'am.
Okay, no staff reporting. Consent items. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Moore made the motion to approve. Is there a second, Mr. Howell?
Second.
All those in, any discussion? All those in favor, it's time to vote.
Vote now, please. That motion passes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
No, wait a minute.
Your budget amendments. New business.
I know. Budget amendments, there are a couple of budget amendments that came on after we had the work session. Is there any discussion of those? Mr. Conan is on.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Moore. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Morency seconds the motion. Any discussion? Then we're ready to vote.
Please vote now. Motion carries 7-0.
Next on zoning and facilities, and it's the farm lease. And you have the farm lease document there. Mr. Perriman, do you have anything to say about this?
No, ma'am. It's the same as it was last year. Roughly the same amount of land and the same price.
Motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion to approve by Mr. Moore. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Morency second the motion. Any discussion? Then we're ready to vote.
Please vote now. Motion carries 7-0.
Do we have a seventh person here now?
Yes, Miss Hopkins came in, and I added her to the attendance.
Okay, good, good. All right, next is the,
Mr.
excuse me?
Forbyte's also here.
Oh, good, good.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Good to hear. Next is waiving the board policies due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And those were listed. It's the 1.60, 3.206, 1.600 also. And I think we did add that, didn't we, Dr. Marzak? I don't think that was something we discussed at the work session, but that was, is that the one we added about using facilities, or that's down here farther?
That's going to be under 8.3.3, ma'am.
All right, that's the one we added.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to waive that for now. Since
Could I say that we could move ahead with item 8.3.1, 8.3.2, and 8.3.4 together? Approve those.
okay, and which one are you not approving?
The facilities, I'd just like to talk about it in just seconds.
All right,
since we didn't talk about it.
All right, is that a motion?
Yes, it is.
All right, the motion is to approve 8.3.1, 8.3.2, and 8.3.4 in one motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Hold on 1 second.
I heard a second. Who was it?
Is this what we have to have the 2/3 vote on?
It is.
Do we have enough for a 2/3 vote as?
We have 8 here.
Oh, okay. I thought we only had 7. I'm sorry.
No, Mr. Fulbright's here too, so. But we would need a unanimous vote. I don't, is Jake here?
Yes, ma'am. Hold on 1 second. I will unmute him. There we go.
Mr. Willibert, we would have to have all 8 votes to pass this? Or 7?
8. I think you said 8.
8, all 8.
Okay. Well, all right, is there any discussion? Motion's on the floor. We're ready to vote.
Ms.
We didn't
Gibbs?
get a second.
I only have access. I can't do 2 screens at once. Mr. Moore, is that correct? 8.3.1, 0.2, and 0.4?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. All right, I need a second.
Second.
All right, thank you, Mr. Howell. You may now you may vote. Motion carries.
Motion carries. Okay, let's go back to 8.3.3, suspending the community use of facilities. I think, Mr. Moore, you wanted to speak to that.
If I could, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve that, and then we can start discussion on it.
All right, is there a second to that motion?
A second.
I think that was Mr. Howell, right?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, could we have someone explain kind of the details of that?
Okay, Dr. Marzak.
Yes, ma'am. I'll start, and then I'll bring in Mr. Perryman. So as the governor has announced that places can start to reopen now, we're starting to get requests for athletics, community use of the buildings, churches, and our fear is groups of 10 or more congregating, and then possibly spreading illness, and then possible liability with the school system. Not only that, resource officers would have to be assigned, and then we're putting resource officers in harm's way. So this is an attempt to continue to comply with the governor's orders of keeping groups of 10 or less and reducing liability for the district. Mr. Perryman?
What you said is exactly right. And the only other thing we've discussed is that if our kids can't be in the building, then we weren't going to let outside groups in the building. But you nailed it with what you said.
Is there any other discussion? Mr. Moore, does that answer your questions? You have other comments?
And I guess this actually ties into any of these that we are waiving. what is our process for rescinding these, or when, like, for example, the temporary suspension of the policy for having people, having groups use this, community groups? What's our process for reversing that, or how are you guys planning to look at that on when we need to pull that back? I mean, obviously, in my opinion, this is public property, and I would like to keep having public have access to it, even though I understand that these are, some times we may need to do something different. So I'm just wondering what's the process for how quickly we would revisit this and let people continue to use, these buildings that have been using them for years. How do we look
Right now?
Go ahead, Eric.
Right now, what we've told everyone that that we've been in contact with. Obviously, they sign up through Facilitron and work through Misty and I, and we've told them all that at the end of May, depending on what the governor's orders are, we will revisit the issue, but we would not do it prior to the 23rd, 24th, and then we would issue an order to them, letting them know based on what he said about social distancing and about using of facilities, how we would move forward at that point. And they've all been receptive. We've had only one group question what we were doing, and when we gave them an answer, they were fine. And everyone's been really receptive and respectful of us at this point. And what we've passed along to them is simply what I said before. If our students aren't allowed in the building, then we're hesitant to let other people in the building, simply because our students take precedent over everyone else.
Okay. Yeah, I would just ask that as we look at this, if staff could just make sure they bring us as soon as you guys do make that decision, that the board can take action quickly to put this back into place.
Yeah.
Yes, we will make sure before we let anyone in that you guys are aware of what our thoughts are, and that you take action on it before they return.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Then we're ready to vote.
Please
This
vote.
would also, what?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
This would also take a 2/3 vote with this, to waive this policy. All right.
Motion passed.
Motion does pass. Thank you. Next is the giveaway proposal between the Fifth Sunday Fellowship Churches and Murray County Public Schools. I think we discussed this at the work session and decided it was something we should approve on a yearly basis rather than infinitum. So is there a motion to approve?
Ms. Hopkins?
Ms. Hopkins?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Hopkins made the motion. Is there a second to the motion? I'll second the motion. Any discussion?
Well, as it's written, it says at the bottom that without seeking BOE approval. I thought we were going to change that to an annual approval.
I thought that's why we brought it up this way. It should be that we were going to do it annually. I thought that's why we didn't put it.
It says without seeking.
Yeah. Ms. Hopkins, are you okay with your motion with changing that with seeking annual BOE approval?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and I agree too. I thought that's really what we discussed, that it would be an annual.
There you go.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion? Then we're ready to vote.
Please vote now. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. The next proposal is a staff right sizing proposal. It's proposal number 2 that Dr. Woodard, 1 and 2, we asked him to bring back to us proposal number 2. Is there a motion to?
Motion, please.
I believe that was Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Got it.
All right, Mr. Howe made second to the motion. Any discussion?
I have a question.
All right, Ms. Morency.
I guess my question is, why are they suggesting proposal 2 over proposal 3?
It was we've discussed it several times, and I'm not sure I remember all the details, but I think that was Dr. Woodard also made that recommendation.
We felt, yes, Ms. Morency, we felt that proposal number 2 had the better short-term and long-term benefits to Murray County Public Schools.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Beaver has his hand up, ma'am.
Mr. Beaver.
Okay, I was like Ms. Morency. I had a question about number 2, and I just wondered, could somebody explain it more or that I could understand it?
Sure.
Why it's different than 1 and 3? How we'll benefit more from that?
Madam Chair, is it okay if Dr. Woodard speaks?
Yes, I was just going to ask if he was on. Yes, please, Dr. Woodard.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I will try to explain this to you. First, let me answer Ms. Morency's question, why proposal number 2 over proposal number 3. Proposal number 3 looks at poverty weights. And so schools that had higher percentages of poverty, of course, in that scenario would get lower class ratios. And so we know that with poverty in our county, that could change now, particularly when you consider this COVID-19 and the number of people who have been impacted by this and who are unemployed. That could change rapidly. That's a conversation that we were having today, actually, is looking at what our poverty looks like. Poverty in our county looks like about 52 to 54% overall. And so we thought that proposal 2 was the fairest way to look at enrollment sizes. Enrollment numbers stay pretty steady. And we track enrollment every year, and we thought that that was the fairest way. Proposal number 1 is a one-size-fits-all formula. In most of your large urban districts, they use a one-size-fits-all type of formula. And we have so many different types of school configurations, we thought that Formula 2 was the best proposal for all the unique situations that we have within the county. And so that has been the proposal that most principals and the executive staff thought was the fairest way to look at staffing in our schools.
I just have one question. I don't understand what effect does poverty have on student-teacher ratio in a classroom?
Well, the idea is to try to lower the class sizes in schools that have higher poverty. That would be the idea, is that we utilize the formula to try to lower class sizes and get lower numbers in all the schools that had higher poverty.
Are we doing that at all right now?
Oh, not with intentionality. No, ma'am, we're not. But if we did proposal 3, it would be intentional to try to lower numbers in schools that had higher poverty. And the idea there is to try to, you would assume that if you had lower class sizes, you could really maximize student achievement and then level the playing field. But, that has not always been the case.
Okay. I just didn't know exactly what the difference was in the 2. I'm fine. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Beaver, are you okay? Do you need more discussion or questions?
Yeah, I just have one more statement to make.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, with us having a new superintendent coming in here in the near future, I feel that something like this, maybe that new superintendent should be involved, because one of the things that I noticed in Dr. Woodard's statement was that the superintendent would be have the final say-so. And so I just wanted to throw that in, because I think that with the changes that we're looking in the near future, would it be fair to a new person coming in and us making decisions right now like this?
Any other discussion?
I'd like to.
Okay.
I wanted to clarify. Yes, sir, Mr. Beaver. That is correct. What Mr. Beaver is speaking on is what we call the exception hire process. Once you put the once you put the staffing ratios and the formulas in place, you will have some situations where a school may feel that they have unique circumstances and they need additional staff in order to effectively run the school and effectively run their master schedule. And that process would be they could apply for an exception hire And then, as Mr. Beaver stated, the superintendent would make the final call as to whether or not those additional positions will be granted pending funding in the budget. And then, of course, when there were exception hires granted, if there were additional positions granted to a school, the superintendent would then provide that information to the board so that you would know what budgetary impact it would have. As it stands right now, when additional positions are added, typically, it's more management. You guys don't really know. You don't see the budget impact. And what we're trying to do is put a process in place that will be fair, equitable, and provide a sense of transparency in regards to staffing in all the schools across the district.
Who was speaking? I don't know.
I'm sorry, that's me, Dr. Marzak. Mr. Howell has his hand up.
All right, Mr. Howell.
So I've sat down at least once or twice with Dr. Woodard and gone over each option several times. As far as waiting for federal funds or waiting for poverty, I feel those schools that need that extra help get that through Title Fund. They get that through federal funds. So this doesn't necessarily include the federal fund staff. They're not included in all this. So I feel like as far as being weighted to cater to those schools, I think they're getting some extra help there. And as far as holding off till the next superintendent, this can has been kicked down the road since way before I was on the board. And I don't think that anything that we're doing right now is completely set in stone. If the new superintendent comes in and wants to change or adjust or modify, he's more than welcome to come in and ask the board to do that. But these are policies that we're setting in place, and he is our employee, and this is how we want to run our district.
I'd like to say this too about it. When right sizing first came up well over a year ago, it was something that I spent some time looking at other counties, how they do it, and what is the most equitable way. And it was at that point that I realized that with the unit schools that we have, that option one wouldn't work at all. I mean, you couldn't say one size fits all. And so I think that option two is a fair and equitable way to do it. And I do think it is something we do need to do as far as the principals going forward know what they're staffing and what's capable of it. So, I'm just someone who had a lot of issues about it, but I've come to the point, I think Dr. Woodard, you did a good job in presenting us these options. And I do support option number two. Any other discussion?
Mr. Howell has his hand up.
All right.
So I agree with you, Ms. Kinzer. And in regards to unit schools, I'm a unit school supporter, obviously. We've looked at how to effectively do that. And I think Mr. Woodard or Dr. Woodard and I have come to the agreement that as far as this plan goes, and really any other plan goes, there are 3 schools in one. So why do we not treat them as an elementary school, a middle school, and a high school? And that's what they are. They just happen to be under one building with far less overhead than any of the other schools. So I think as far as this goes, it is absolutely probably one of the fairest, not only to unit schools, but to all schools involved.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Ms.
I have.
Ms. Murray?
I just want to clarify that we're already doing this in all of our elementary schools. Is that correct?
Correct.
So this is only, it's only going to really pertain to our middle schools and high schools. I really like the idea. I think it's time that we did that and we look at our budget and the number of teachers that we have. And this is a great way to do it, to start at a time when we're going to have teachers gone, you know, that are retiring and stuff. I know we're doing a few of those. So sorry about my dog.
I think he would say it's
Mr. Sims,
any other discussion?
Mr. Sims has his hand up, ma'am.
Mr. Sims.
Yeah, Dr. Woodard, have you ran the numbers on, I'm just thinking in budgetary terms, are we going to need additional teachers? Are we going to be cutting positions? What will we be looking at come budget time?
You mean for next year, or you mean like now?
For next
Yeah, for next year. I mean, I assume that we're going to implement these new ratios going in, are we going to be saving money with cutting positions, or are we going to be needing additional positions based on our numbers?
Yeah, based on numbers, we are a growing county, so we predict that we will have to add additional positions. But the key is next year, when we get to doing somewhere around February or so, we're going to give out allocation sheets to principals, and then we can begin looking at the process of reduction and reducing staff in schools where we're overstaffed. The good thing is that we're hoping that attrition will take care of most of this, which means that where we have schools and schools that are overstaffed, we can shift people around the district where they need to be shifted, and then of course attrition should take care of that. So there will be some savings, but in terms of the number, I'd say somewhere around, if you look at how far we're overstaffed right now in terms of a dollar amount, I'd say well over $3 million in human capital, and that's just being generous. So we've got to look at how we're using our human capital right now.
I have another question then.
Mr.
Thank you.
His hand up first.
Who was that?
Mr. Fulbright, his hand up first.
Mr. Fulbright.
I don't know if y'all can hear me. Mine's breaking up really bad, so if you can't hear me, just ignore me.
We can hear you.
I think this is a good opportunity for us, and I like how Mr. Beaver put it, that it would be nice to have the input of the new person who's coming in. But I think we also need to remember this is our purview to be able to set the policies, to be able to dictate the budget, and to be able to set the parameters from which we want to operate. It's nice to have that collaboration, and hopefully whoever we bring in will share our understanding of our role. But I do want to just reiterate or put on record, I guess, that I do believe this is our decision. It's nice to have a lot of other input, but it's ultimately our decision, and we can only collaborate so much. So thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Moore is next.
Mr. Moore.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, Dr. Woodard, we are talking about this being going into effect for not this coming school year, but the following one, correct?
Yes, this would take effect going into in the spring.
Okay, just so no one was surprised that we pass it now and we wonder why it's happening in the fall. Thank you.
And let me add to that, Mr. Moore. The other thing that has to take place, guys, as you all know right now, principals are currently paid by the number of teachers that they manage. With this process, we have to work out a different model and a different structure where we pay principals based upon the number of students that they manage, which is also a more fair and equitable way. I think right now the current administrative manual dictates that a principal earns additional revenue. I think for every one teacher, it's 1/100th of their salary. And so all we want to do is look at that the same way we do now is with typically every 30 students, we add a teacher. So for every 30 students, then we would just add 1/100th as opposed to a teacher. So that will also help us with the number of out of zones that principals let in. We have had the situation where if you let in more out of zones, letting in more kids out of zone, of course, increases the need for more teachers. And then, of course, when you add more staffing, then, of course, you also get more pay. So this whole process will really be fair. It'll be equitable. And we've got to put a stopgap in. So this will add the stopgap that we need. And it will also make sure that we're staffing our schools fairly, equitably, and that we're saving some money as well. I also think where we have schools that are overstaffed, I think the fear for principals is, of course, that we're going to come in and take everybody away at one time. We don't have to do that. We can be very wise and just absorb a few positions here or there from each of those schools that are overstaffed so that the impact is not so hard on those schools. And again, we could easily do that.
I guess I don't understand. Number one, why we would start it in spring. It would seem like we would start it at the beginning of the year. And number two, if we're going to do it slowly, why wouldn't we institute that at this coming year and start at the beginning of this year and slowly put this into effect?
Yes, ma'am. Well, we need time to change the model, the principal salary model. So we're going to need time to do that. And I'll be working with Mr. Lindsay. He and I had extensive conversation about looking at the principal salary model. And then the second thing that we have to do is this process goes hand in hand with the master schedule process, where principals begin to build their master schedules somewhere around. That process goes from February to about May, about this time of year. So, we want to begin to give them the appropriate allocation before they start begin building master schedules in February. That's why I say it's going to start in the spring. So that means
So
they would
you're not saying that we would lose teachers in the spring, but it's just, is that correct?
Some of it can be taken care of through attrition.
Yes, some of it could be taken care of through attrition, correct.
Okay. Fine.
Any other discussion? Then we're ready to vote.
Please vote now.
Okay.
Motion carries 7-1.
Okay. Looking at the last thing on here is the contract renewals. Mr. Perriman, is that from you? Who is that?
Ma'am, say one more time. My connection.
The contract renewals. That's next on the agenda. There are no low bids, are there? Just
Yes, ma'am. They're ours.
okay.
No, ma'am. They're just contract renewals. The only thing we've changed since the work session is that Mr. Moore asked for us to note if the renewal date had changed and if the renewal amount had changed on anything, and we have noted those in red for you.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to accept so we can discuss it?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Moore made the motion to approve. There's a second.
Mr. Howell seconded.
All right. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Moore?
Mr.
Yeah,
Moore.
thank you. I just want to say, Eric, Mr. Perriman, I really do appreciate. That's exactly what I was wanting to see very clearly what the difference is. And you're satisfied with the changes that are there. Nothing seems to be too out of line. You're satisfied with both the dollar changes and the timing changes as far as to align the contracts.
He's coming back in. He got kicked out. Hold on one second. All right. Mr. Perriman? Okay, I'm unmuting him. Mr. Perriman?
Man, sir.
Damn.
I will ask
log back in.
Okay.
There you go.
Mr. Perriman, I had a question for you. I was saying, thank you for giving me exactly what I had asked for at the last meeting. I appreciate that. Are you satisfied with the dollar amount changes and the realignments of the contract as far as, some shortening of terms and how that all worked out?
Yes, sir. We realigned contract dates simply because Mr. Luconen's office asked us to, and that actually worked out nicely for us on a couple of contracts. The contract amounts that changed were both set in motion by the initial contracts that we signed. The train contracts, when we initially signed those 4 years ago, had an escalating dollar amount for each year, and those are represented within the dollar amount that you see. We've attached that attachment to show you that each year how that goes up.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion or question? Then we're ready to vote.
Please vote now.
And that motion does carry. All right, we've come to FYI. Let me just remind board members that we have a work session the 18th. We have a budget meeting on the 20th. And if you all read your email from me, you know that I want to have a retreat on the 16th on that Saturday from 9 to 11. So I didn't hear from anybody, so I assume that means, yay, we'll do that. So so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Moore, seconded by Mr. Howell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you.
Careful, the storms are coming in.
Well, if you could see, well, never mind. I just want the power on. I've only had power for an hour. So if you think I feel like I've got power, I don't.
Well, like I said, the storms are coming in, so be careful.
All right. Thanks to all of you. Be safe.
All right, be safe.
Good
Bye.
night.